Hey guys, welcome to What Where's Watchin', the series where I go over whatever show, movie, comic, manga, game, whatever it is that I'm currently taking in. I discuss my thoughts on it, and I let you know whether or not you should watch it and why. So this week, I'll be talking about JoJo Part 3 Stardust Crusaders. I will specifically be talking about the first 24 episodes, the first half, and I'll cover Battle in Egypt in another episode. So it took a while, but JoJo finally got really goofy. Like it always looked kind of weird before, but finally the story and the way the characters interact and all their superpowers finally got to the point where it is just nonsense. And I gotta say, I think I love it. But to back up a little bit, the new JoJo is Jotaro Kujo. He is the grandson of Joseph Joestar, and he's different. He's quiet, he's reserved, he's always the cool guy. And at first, I have to say, I didn't really like him very much. He was really just unkind to his mother, who was super sweet, and he's super rough around the edges and everything. But later, we start to see his kinder side and realize that his rough exterior is just sort of his personality and that he's actually a good person. So he grows on me over time, but at first, I was not a fan. I definitely prefer Joseph Joestar as a main character, but Joseph is still around, which is awesome. So I still get a bunch of Joseph, and we also get Jotaro. So that's cool. I like how there's this group dynamic. Speaking of Joseph, his stand is kind of boring compared to the others, but he manages to use it in some creative ways, which is cool. I am a little disappointed that Ripple is basically useless at this point. I assume it will be somewhat helpful once they reach Dio and they start to fight him, but at this point, stands are everything and Ripple is basically worthless. Speaking of Dio, he's back and he is more of a bastard than ever. He stole Jonathan's body. I mean, that was like, wow, okay, yeah, he's just as terrible as ever. He's really the kind of character that you love to hate. Like, there's no redeeming qualities about him. I'm dying to see what Dio's stand is and what it does, because the way he was sort of hyped up, I'm expecting it to be something really, really powerful, so that's cool. Now, on the topic of stands, they weren't really explained very well in the beginning. Like we get basic details. It's sort of a representation of your soul or like spiritual energy. Stands that are weaker work at far distances, and stronger stands you have to be closer. And then whatever happens to your stand happens to you. So if it gets injured, you get injured. But they were sort of vague about Dio unlocked his stand, but because he's in Jonathan's body, everyone in the Joestar lineage also got a stand. It was sort of odd. They never really explained exactly how that works or why that works. And they also kind of glossed over why Holly's stand is hurting her while everyone else is fine and they can use it to their advantage. They said something about she didn't have a warrior spirit or something like that. I don't know if that really makes a lot of sense, because there are some people that they fought, some stand users that didn't seem like warriors, but they used their stand in a creative way to fight. So that's a little shaky. All that said, stands are really cool. They're diverse and they're interesting. They do a lot of stuff that I don't expect them to do. Like they can shrink and they can phase through stuff. They have a lot of cool applications that I never would have thought of on my own. I look forward to seeing exactly how strong Star Platinum in particular will get. He was able to, at one point, punch through the equivalent of diamonds, which means that he's very, very, very strong, like really strong. So I assume through the second half of this part, he's going to get stronger for when he eventually fights Dio. Another thing, I didn't think I would, but I really grew to love the secondary members of this team, the quote-unquote Stardust Crusaders. Avdol, Kakyoin, and Polnareff. They all have ridiculous names and designs, but I love each and every one of them. Avdol is cool at the beginning, and his stand probably has my favorite powers out of the whole bunch. Magician's Red is like really cool. Seeing him burn down enemies is a sight to behold. Kakyoin, he gives me Jonathan Joestar vibes. He's just like a good guy for the sake of being good, and I like that about him. And then lastly, Polnareff. He's hilarious. He's loud. He's dumb. His backstory is genuinely sad, and all of this sort of makes it easy, really, really easy to root for him when he's fighting. I think I don't like him more than Joseph, but other than Joseph, he's probably my favorite character out of this group. I love the whole group of characters, and I genuinely don't want any of them to die. That's not really something I could have said about some of the characters from part 2, like the two guys that trained Joseph and Caesar. I didn't really care about them, but here in part 3, the whole group, I want all of them to do well and to be okay. Part 3 definitely does the group dynamic better than part 2, like I said, and also it does the sidekick better. Anne is much more of a character than Smokey ever was. They do little reference to Smokey, how he's like a politician now, but he really did not do virtually anything in part 2. At least Anne has like motivations and her own personality. And of course, I love the callback jokes. Jotaro running away just like Joseph does, that was really funny. And then, of course, there's the other jokes. The fourth wall breaks. Those are great. I especially love when a character literally like winks and nods to the camera at the end going, but like that's pretty funny. Overall, I recommend JoJo Part 3. I plan on watching Battle in Egypt, and I'm excited for it. I will say at this point, though, I still prefer Part 2. So I've been Beware. This is What Wears Watchin'. Stay frosty.